Yeah, you're totally right. I could definitely go for some food. What are you thinking? Let me check the fridge real quick. Yeah, not a lot of options in here. We got two choices. We've got some some ducks on the menu. No? No, you want a Sammy. You want a fresh Sammy. I got a Sammy for you. I got you. Well, it's a pretty good sandwich. Pretty good Sammy. That's what I've been trying to tell you for 2 weeks. So you're going to be nice to him on the podcast now. Maybe. I'll be nice to him if you do a little bit better than a bread sandwich, though. This is a good start, though. Well, my lackluster sandwich making skills had absolutely no impact on the Golden Knights and their ability to calmly, carefully, and rather convincingly take care of the Anaheim Ducks to get their season off to a 3-0 start, winning all parts of their first 3-game homestand to kick open the year, and they're now 3-0 with the final score of the Ducks of 3-1. Now, this was a weird game because I was expecting this to be another throwdown, the oldest rivalry in the book, the Golden Knights versus John Gibson. And then I turned on the TV and realized James Reimer was in net, so that was a little bit confusing. And of course, on the other side of the game, Ilya Samsonov made his Golden Knights debut, hence the sandwiches. For the first time all year, I would be confident to say the Golden Knights got started on time. They looked like the much better team through the first 7 minutes of the game, and ultimately were rewarded by scoring the first goal of the game for the first time this year. Brett Howden did some good work behind the net, found Keegan Colasar in the low slot, who found Alex Pietrangelo, who fired it on net from the middle of the ice. Rebound was loose to the right of Reimer, and Howden was there to tap it home, giving the Golden Knights the early 1-0 lead. All in all, this was a good goal. It's good to see Howden getting on the board. That's 2 goals in 3 games for Brett Howden, and this is one of the first goals of the year that the first line, the Jack Eichel line, or any member of that line didn't feature heavily and prominently on a goal. So there's that, but they'll get their moment in the sun a little bit later in the game. However, and unfortunately for the line, and most unfortunately for Ivan Barbashev, he would feature on the score sheet primarily in this first period in the negative sense. As about 6 minutes after the Golden Knights took the lead and scored that first goal, Ivan Barbashev would try to break into the offensive zone, and instead of chipping it down to his entire team that was crashing the zone, or taking his time controlling the puck, letting his defenders reposition, he throws a backhand hope pass into the middle of the ice. The only problem is the puck never got to the middle of the ice, as Troy Terry was standing right there, hit him in the feet, and he was off to the races, and he went low glove side on Samsonov to knot up the game at 1. Massive defensive blunder by Ivan Barbashev. It was one of those where you could see it was coming from a mile away. You knew as soon as that puck got turned over that it was going to wind up in the net. This is something that plagued the Golden Knights last season. Every single mistake they made wound up in the back of their own net, and this is the first of those instances where a dumb mistake immediately led to a goal within 30 seconds of that mistake being made. That being said, 1-1, and that's where the period would end, by the way, 1-1. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's the Ducks, and they're not a good team, and they played last night, so there's that. But it's okay. Maybe. Because I'd feel okay about this if we had Adin Hill in net, and going into this game, I still had my reservations about Ilya Samsonov, even on the back end of it. But at the same time, it's Sammy. It's a tight game. It's his first game in the Fortress. He's got to be nervous, and the second period kind of reinforced that in some ways. And by second period reinforcing that, I mean he played some pretty damn good hockey, all things being equal. He faced a lot of good shots. There was nothing happened in the second period aside from some penalties and some penalty kills. There was no reason to jump up and cheer in the second period, no goals. So obviously Samsonov and Reimer on the other side did their job as backup goalies. So there's always that to be considering. But I don't want to say this warmed me up to the idea of Samsonov being the backup, because that's still going to take some getting used to, especially with the Golden Knights taking on their former backup Logan Thompson in about 2 hours as of the time we're recording this. It's going to take some getting used to, not only because, he catches with the proper hand, but just the fact that it's somebody different. We had 2 years of Logan Thompson. We were very comfortable with that. And before that, it was Laurent Brossoit. And before that, it was Robin Lehner and Marc-Andre Fleury. So changes the goaltending position to take some getting used to. But in the second period in particular, Samsonov looked very, very, I don't want to use competent because every NHL goalie is competent. He looked comfortable behind this vaunted Golden Knights defense core and defensive forwards, minus the moments that got a little hairy, but those weren't on him necessarily. That was more on the forwards not being smart on their breakouts and this, that, and the other thing. But the third period, he would finally get a little bit of help. At the Golden Knights going into the third period, 0 for 2 on the power play in the second period, they had a lot of good opportunities to score. They just were victimized by posts and bad passing and the inability to hit a net, which happens from time to time. But the Golden Knights would get a power play early in the third period and were able to make some good progress. They got lucky, and by that I mean you get to the Anaheim Ducks, I think, can blame the lovely folks at Bauer Hockey for this one, as their centerman's stick broke right off the faceoff and he would never get to the bench to get a new stick, as the puck would go low to high, high to low. It was basically a 5-on-3.5 for the entire power play. And ultimately, the play would break down to where the puck would be rimmed out, but not get all the way out because it went to the wing where the guy with the broken stick was. The defender was able to bring the puck over to Eichel in the mid-slot, who sends it down to Stone, who finds Hurdle on the doorstep and tips it past Reimer for his first goal of the season, and the Golden Knights breaking through on the power play. So that's good all around. That's good all around. Fun must be always with this guy, and he looked like he was having an absolutely spectacular time, having skated to the bench after scoring that goal and giving Ilya Samsonov a little bit of breathing room on the other side. Now, one goal is not a ton of breathing room, but it is at least a little bit of breathing room. It's at very least something. This third period would get a little on the hairy side, as there would be a penalty. Braden McNabb would take a penalty. But ultimately, the Golden Knights were able to kill it off very well. Samsonov made a couple of very good saves on this penalty kill, including one where he was fighting through traffic, and I'm not even entirely sure how he made the save. But we'll take it, and he's doing a good job endearing himself to his new team. And ultimately, I was thinking this game was going to get a little dicey. We're inside 7 minutes to go in regulation. I'm starting to do the back of the napkin math as to when they're going to pull Reimer, get the extra attacker, and this, that, and the other thing, as any sensible hockey fan would do. And while I'm thinking about this, Keegan Kolesar is active on the forecheck. Now, Keegan Kolesar hasn't done much this year. And I say that with all the love in my heart, as he is one of my favorite players currently on the team. He is not Mark Stone. But on this play, he definitely did his best impression. I know Halloween is coming up, and so maybe he will go as Mark Stone for Halloween this year, as Kolesar would steal the puck off the boards on a strong forecheck, work the puck to the middle, and whether he was trying to pass it to Pavel Dorofeev perfectly in the slot, or whether it was 2 bounces away from being perfect, he threw the puck into the middle and it wound up right on Dorofeev's stick, and Dorofeev snapped it home for his first of the year. I think that's Kolesar's first point of the year on the assist as well. And the Golden Knights are now up 3-1. And despite all the pushback by the Ducks, whether it be with the goalie out, which they never really got the opportunity to, as Alex Killorn would take a dumb, I'm just going to say it flat out, it was a dumb penalty with about 2 minutes to go, giving the Golden Knights their 4th power play of the night, which they didn't capitalize on because they just played a glorified game of keep away for 2 minutes. The game was pretty much over from that point. The Knights get some revenge back after losing the season series to the Ducks last year, because cash your mind back to about a year ago, the Golden Knights had opened their year 11-0-1 and blew a 2-goal lead in the third period to these Ducks to end that perfect start to last season. So they get through the Ducks, they get to go out on the road. That's pretty much the trap game for this early part of the schedule. And they get to go out on the road as one of the 5 teams that are 3-0 to start this young season, and they get to be on top of their division. And, of course, because things can't get any better, the Oilers lost to the Flames and they're 0-3. So there's that. I'd say my MVP of tonight's game, as much as I gave him crap at the beginning of this episode, and if you've been a listener of the Thoughts of the Night podcast, which I'm on, you also know I have reservations about this player. I can't believe I'm saying this. Ilya Samsonov is my player of the game. He stood up well, faced a lot of good shots. He got beat on a breakaway, but then he saved another breakaway in the second period. He looked good. That's all I can say. He looked great. Is he going to get 30 wins this year? No, because he's probably not going to make 30 starts because he's not the starter. That's Aiden Hill's job, barring injury. Fingers crossed. he looked solid. I wouldn't say it was spectacular, but it was enough to make me have a sandwich in front of a camera. So, obviously he did well enough to deserve the bit. Also, obviously, we can't get too far into talking about individual performances without talking about Jack Eichel getting another point. He's up to 7 on the year now, and he's got a 3-game point streak to start the season. Wasn't a goal, wasn't even a primary assist. It was just a well-executed secondary assist on Tomas Hertl's first goal of the year, which I'm happy that Hertl's finally getting on the board. He's going to be a very valuable asset. 2 players that we definitely needed to score got on the board last night in the form of Tomas Hertl and Pavel Dorofeev. Those are going to be 2 big guys, along with Victor Olofsson, to try and replace the scoring gap left by Stevenson and Marchessault and Carrier from last year. All in all, I have no complaints about this game. I'm actually very happy about how it went. We're going to see how this first road swing goes for the Knights, because it's not the easiest road swing. If I remember right, it's Washington with a reunion against Logan Thompson, and then Tampa, and then Florida. I don't remember the exact order. It's just, whatever's left of Florida, assuming that game happens. Hurricane Milton was not nice to the Tampa area. I've seen pictures of Tropicana Field where the Rays play with the roof missing. That stadium doesn't have a retractable roof. It's now an open-air stadium. But we'll see how this road trip goes. I think it's a 3 or 4 game road swing, which will be exciting. At least we get to watch some good hockey, and I don't have to be up until 10 o'clock to watch it, because the games will start at 7 instead of 9. So, little victories. I will get a good night's sleep. But that being said, I don't really have anything major to say about this game, other than the Knights had another convincing win, even though it was close for 47 minutes of the game. It is okay. You're not going to win every game by a score of 8-4, and not every game is going to be a nail-biter against a conference rival like St. Louis. Getting those wins in division, especially early in the year when the standings are all over the place, is a good thing. And I haven't made mention to it on the podcast yet, but this is a great way for the Knights to start, only playing one divisional game in the first 6, because it gives them a chance to warm up before they start playing the opponents they're going to play a lot. I do wish that they were playing Edmonton right now so we could pile on a little bit, but we'll get our day. We'll have our day and our time. They have to try and get us back for, ending their super long winning streak last year and knocking them out of the playoffs the year before. I don't know. They got a Western Conference championship, but we got the ring, so I'm sure that'll be a fun game whenever it happens. I have no idea when that first matchup is. I haven't even checked the schedule. There's 3 games that I know are happening. It's the one that's tonight, and then the one in December when the Knights come to Minnesota, and then the one in March where the Knights come to Minnesota. That's all I really know about the schedule right now. I really need to do a better job of putting it on my calendar as I am glancing to it to my immediate right. That being said, thank you for watching if you made it this far. This was a little bit of a rambler, but I've only got an hour until puck drop of this next game, so I want to get this out before the game that comes after the game that I'm talking about starts. Kind of lose my continuity if I don't do that. So I'm going to put a bow on this one, wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this ramble. If you liked it, be sure to like the video. Subscribe if you really enjoyed this kind of content, want to follow the Knights season through my very stupid sounding eyes. And, of course, comment below if you want to come at me for eating a bread sandwich. That being said, thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.